the headlines we're following at this hour. After management issues, the Jamboree continues at the Saemangum campsite and beyond with more cultural programs nationwide as help continues to pour in from the public and private sectors as well as individuals. South Korea's core inflation, excluding the volatile food and energy sectors, hit its highest since the Asian financial crisis, indicating a still high inflation concern. Seoul is named as the host of a global Catholic event, World Youth Day, in 2027, with the Pope himself also set to visit. Good afternoon. After management and hygiene issues at the Jamboree campsite at Saemangum in the country's southwest, almost putting the event on the verge of being cut short, it has been decided the World Scout gathering will continue as planned as the situation is seemingly improving, with the central government stepping in along with the help of the private sector. Shin Se-byuk reports.
South Korea will continue with the World Scout Jamboree until August 12th, as planned. That is according to Prime Minister Han Duck-soo on Saturday.
After holding a meeting, we have decided to continue with the Jamboree.
A growing number of participants at this year's Jamboree have been suffering heat-related illnesses due to exposure to extreme heat since it began last Tuesday. The campsite, located on reclaimed land at Saemangum in Jeollabuk-do province, lacks natural shade. But there has also been criticism over hospital bed shortages, waterlogged conditions, and bad food. With the decision, the South Korean government vowed to go all out to ensure the smooth running of the Jamboree event. The measures include additional medical staff, air-conditioned buses, and cold water. 60 medical personnel, 64 canopies, and 104 air-conditioned buses have also been installed. On top of that, over 930 additional service personnel have been deployed to keep the campsite hygienic. In total, over 330 air-conditioned buses are available and 1,400 service personnel are working at the site. Multiple South Korean companies are also sending supplies. Samsung affiliates are sending mobile toilets, power generators, medical staff, and more. LG affiliates decided to send a total of 200,000 drinks. Other conglomerates, Hyundai, GS, and E-Mart, are offering bread, water, and maintenance personnel. Also, private organizations such as the Korea International Trade Association and the Korea Chamber of Commerce and Industry have decided to send cooling supplies. And the South Korean government said that because of these efforts, things have improved.
Since the decision to fully support the 2023 World Scout Jamboree, the campsite has been gradually stabilizing.
The director of the World Organization of the Scout Movement, Jacob Murray, also said there had been, quote-unquote, increased improvement in conditions after additional resources were made available. From now until the end of the Jamboree, South Korea will continue to operate a temporary task force to address issues raised during the event. Shin Se-byuk, Arirang News.
Now, as the Jamboree continues, it's now become a nationwide event with different regions stepping in to offer their unique tourist programs outside the Saemangum campsite. Here's that part of the latest developments on the Jamboree. From Saemangum Jamboree to Korea Jamboree, the World Scout Gathering will be expanded beyond the main campsite of Saemangum with a variety of cultural programs to be added across the nation. The central and local governments have stepped in to come up with the programs after President Yoon, while on his vacation, addressed the extreme heat and management issues seen at Saemangum, calling for tourist programs to be provided to, quote, show Scouts Korea's industry, culture, history, and nature.
The President ordered to make sure Scouts from the UK and US who are staying in Seoul and Pyeongtaek continue on with their programs there. Also, 17 cities and provinces have proposed 90 cultural programs for Scouts who are staying in Saemangum to make trips to different regions.
Among the programs, sightseeing in Busan, the candidate city of 2030 World Expo, including the famous Haeundae Beach. the iconic mud festival in Poryong, a science tour at the country's tech capital Daejeon, including an astronomical observatory and National Science Museum. And at the historic city of Gyeongju, a Confucian Academy and UNESCO heritage sites, including Bulguksa Temple. Seoul is also offering sightseeing and arts and performance festival and a water park in downtown Gwanghwamun.
For the usual programs, Scouts need to come back to their tents in Saemangam at 5 p.m. in principle. But because some locations are far, we've also prepared places for them to stay elsewhere for 2 or 3 day schedules.
The much-anticipated K-pop concert will also be held despite a delay over heat-related safety concerns.
If the concert was to go as planned on the 6th, Scouts would have been exposed to extreme heat for over 5 days, with things to even heat up for 2 hours. We concluded that it was inevitable that we had to change the location and date.
The concert will take place on the last camping day on August 11th at Jeonju World Cup Stadium, which can house an audience of up to over 40,000 with its roof providing shade. As efforts are underway to ensure the smooth running of the Jamboree at Saemangam, President Yoon Suk-yeol once again emphasized the importance of hygiene management as temperatures at the site soar. That is according to top office spokesperson Lee Do-woon on Sunday, who said Yoon particularly stressed preventing food poisoning. He also thanked citizens and businesses for helping to resolve issues at the Jamboree. Meanwhile, with calls to find those responsible for the apparent lack of preparation for the global scouting event, a top office official said, while the media can point out those issues for the government, now it is time to focus solely on successfully operating the Jamboree until the end. In the meantime, after their early withdrawal, Scout members from the U.S. and UK are still continuing with their activities elsewhere. And those who remain at Saemangam are carrying on with their Scout spirit. Shin Ha-young has more.
Contingents from the U.S., Britain, and Singapore who decided to leave the World Scout Jamboree campsite all left for their new accommodations over the weekend. The group from the U.S., consisting of around 1,500 members, left Saemangam on Sunday and moved to Camp Humphreys, an American military garrison in Pyeongtaek of Gyeonggi-do province, citing ongoing extreme weather and conditions at the site. The 4,400 British Scout members, the largest contingent of all the participating countries, began departing from the site on Saturday, with their remaining members set to leave on Monday. They will stay in Seoul until the end of the Jamboree, which will run until Saturday. During their remaining time in South Korea, they will experience a variety of cultural activities, including a tour program honoring British veterans of the Korean War. Part of the group took city tour buses and enjoyed the night view in Seoul on Sunday.
We've been to see temples, we've been to see palaces, we've been experiencing the street food culture. So many different cultural experiences that are so different to our own back in the UK. So we're really enjoying being here.
Meanwhile, almost 90% of the participating countries have decided to continue with the Jamboree at Saemangam. European countries including Belgium, which had considered an early departure, as well as Germany and Sweden, have decided to stay at the campsite, citing significant improvements in food and hygiene. Some delegations from countries like the Philippines, Saudi Arabia, and Argentina held a press conference to announce that they will remain until the end of the event.
We are seeing around the site some improvements. We had the word of the leadership of the government that things will be improved.
The remaining scouts have been traveling around 14 cities and counties in Jeollabuk-do province, enjoying various activities such as archery and search and rescue missions.
For us, it was a very beautiful day today. We had a lot of tips how can we rescue in case of water emergencies, as well as indoor emergencies like fire, earthquakes, and all these things.
The event has now reached a halfway point, and efforts have been made to ensure the remainder of the event is a success. Shin Ha-young, Arirang News.
Seoul has been named to host a global Catholic Church event for young people, World Youth Day in 2027. Up to 1 million people are expected to attend the event, with the Pope himself also set to visit. Lee Seung-jae reports.
At the closing mass for the 2023 World Youth Day in Lisbon, Portugal, Pope Francis announced the host city for the next World Youth Day.
The next World Youth Day will take place in Asia. It will be in South Korea, in Seoul.
The World Youth Day brings together young people from around the world in celebration of their Catholic faith. The massive event runs for 5 or 6 days, with the reigning Pope also in attendance. Seoul will become the first Asian city to host the event since Manila in 1995, where over 5 million people attended the event's closing mass. Seoul's Archdiocese estimates that around 700,000 to 1 million Catholics will be in attendance for the Seoul World Youth Day, with 300,000 traveling to South Korea.
Since in the past 3 years we have undergone a COVID situation in Korea, sadly the number of people going to church in Korea has declined. And we sincerely hope that throughout preparations and also during World Youth Day, it will be a great opportunity to develop and mature our youth ministry. So that's what I am hoping for as our journey begins for the preparation for World Youth Day.
The announcement comes as Cardinal Andrew Yum-Soo-jung and Archbishop Peter Jung-Sung-taek of the Seoul Archdiocese traveled to Lisbon last Monday to make a pitch for Seoul. Cardinal Lazaro Yu-Hung-sik, prefect of the Congregation for the Clergy of the Holy See, and Oh Hyun-ju, the South Korean ambassador to the Holy See, also took part in the pitch. The event is also expected to provide a massive boost to the local economy. The Lisbon World Youth Day is expected to have been worth about $622 million. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Despite a recent cool down in South Korea's overall price pressures, the country's core inflation in the first 7 months of this year saw the largest on-year increase since the Asian financial crisis in 1998. Data from Statistics Korea Monday shows the core inflation rate, a barometer for consumer prices, which excludes volatile categories such as food and energy, rose 4.5% compared to the same period last year. The rise was led by an increase in the cost of dining out. Statistics Korea also blamed more expensive raw materials due to the war in Ukraine. South Korea's overall industrial production recorded an on-year increase of 1.1% in June thanks to the rise in chip export volume. According to the monthly economic trends report released by the Korea Development Institute on Monday, the semiconductor export volume saw an on-year increase of 21.6%, along with smaller decrease in chip production. The KDI's report also noted that service production rose once again by 3.5% compared to the same period last year. Meanwhile, the report warned that global concerns, including rising commodity prices and China's slower than expected economic rebound, could affect the Korean economy. Japan plans to start releasing wastewater from the destroyed Fukushima nuclear power plant as soon as late August, according to Japan's Asahi Shimbun. Citing unnamed government sources, Monday's report said the release will likely come shortly after Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida meets with U.S. President Joe Biden and South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol in Washington next week. Kishida will explain to them that the water is indeed safe. The newspaper also said Tokyo plans to start the discharge process before bottom trawling fishing season begins in waters of Fukushima on September 1st. People in South Korea are doing what they can to get some relief from the sweltering summer heat, and fighter jets and their pilots and their crews too are also taking their steps to keep cool. Our defense correspondent Choi Min-jung reports.
An F-15K fighter jet has just finished flying and is making its way to the shower to cool off. In the sweltering hot summer, it is important to cool off the heated jets and rinse off any salt formed when flying over the sea. While the jets cool down, pilots have to endure an apparent temperature of over 50 degrees Celsius under their pilot suits.
Fighter pilots fight head-on against the rays of the hot midsummer sun under a transparent canopy. I know that I have sweated a lot when I see my wet uniform.
Airmen and airwomen also get a short breather from the scorching heat while enjoying some ppingsu, Korean shaved ice dessert with red beans. But they are again quickly drenched with sweat as they load heavy missiles weighing more than 160 kilograms.
We are provided with short sleeves, so I wear those. There are also portable air conditioners, so I try to work while avoiding the heat.
The Air Force said it is working hard to prevent heat-related illnesses by implementing flexible flight times during heat waves at the commander's discretion. Choi Min-jung, Arirang News.
South Korea's Yoon Han-kyeol won this year's Herbert von Karajan Young Conductors Award on Sunday. He is the first Korean to be recognized with such honor. During the award concert weekend at the 2023 Salzburg Festival in Austria, Yoon took the top prize ahead of competitors from Belarus and Austria. He wins a cash prize of $16,500 and also the opportunity to conduct a concert with the ORF Radio Symphony Orchestra Vienna and a rising young soloist as part of the 2024 Salzburg Festival. The Von Karajan Award is considered a launchpad for a conductor's international career. Now we have an American couple who lived in Korea back in the 1960s and 70s as members of the Peace Corps, an American volunteer organization. This couple recently donated more than 1,000 pictures, old paintings, and books that carry stories of Korea from years and years ago. Our Song Yoo-jin has their story.
For Gary and Marianne Mintier, Korea holds a special place in their hearts.
I always say Urinada. We weren't born here, but it's Urinada.
Back in 1969, the Mintiers came to Korea as Peace Corps volunteers and worked as English instructors for 6 years. During that time, they developed a keen interest in old Korean artworks.
When I was in college, I took one art course, and it had a little bit of Asian art. And I liked it then. And then when we came to Korea, we didn't have a lot of money at first, but when I could, I would buy a certain piece of art that I'd seen in a store, and my wife would buy me one for anniversaries and birthdays.
Their collection grew to include a total of 150 books, paintings, and calligraphic works. Among them is a painting by Song Soo-myeon, a renowned painter of the late Joseon dynasty. However, this year, the Mintiers made the decision to donate all their cherished pieces to Korea, including 1,000 photos they took during their stay, which captured Korea's struggle to heal the scars of war.
We were really fortunate to be in Korea at that time when many Koreans had other priorities, right? And art wasn't necessarily one of them. And so I said, it's time to give them back to Korea. I mean, Korea gave us so much while we were here and even afterwards.
The Overseas Korean Cultural Heritage Foundation has played a crucial role.
We first learned about the Mintiers collection in 2017 through an instructor at the University of Southern California. Over the years, we built a strong sense of trust through email exchanges, which I think ultimately led to this generous donation.
Marking the occasion, the Mintiers have returned to Korea, their third visit after departing in 1975. The most recent was 2013. They say they're always amazed by the remarkable progress Korea has made. But one thing remains unchanged.
The Korean people are still the same. They still have that warmth, that heart, that giving that they had that made us stay when we came, right?
Yeah, most Peace Corps volunteers came for 2 years. We stayed 6.5 years.
The photographs taken by the mintiers are currently on display at the Busan Museum, while the artworks will be unveiled at the National Library of Korea in Seoul next April. 송유진, Arirang News.
Let's take a look at what's going on in the world now. In Crimea, airstrikes from Ukraine on Sunday have damaged 2 road bridges. Ukraine has claimed responsibility for these strikes, one of which struck the Chonha road bridge that links mainland-occupied Ukraine to Crimea. A smaller bridge linking the town of Henichesk with the peninsula's northeast coast was also struck, damaging a nearby gas pipeline. No deaths or injuries have been reported, and the bridges are expected to reopen soon. The strikes come a day after a wave of Russian missile and drone attacks on Ukraine, where at least 6 people died, and a blood transfusion center was destroyed in Kupiansk. In Pakistan, at least 30 people have been killed and 100 injured after a train derailed on Sunday local time. The train was headed from Karachi to Havelian when it came off the tracks near Nawab Shah in the southern Sindh province. It was carrying over 1,000 passengers and was reportedly traveling at normal speed. The cause of the crash is being investigated. Pakistan's railway system has a poor safety record, and such accidents are not uncommon. In 2021, at least 40 people died after 2 trains collided in the same province. 2023 Women's World Cup favorites Team USA have been knocked out of the tournament. They were beaten 5-4 on penalties in Melbourne on Sunday, following a goalless draw with Sweden. The US dominated most of the match but couldn't find the back of the net, thanks to Sweden's keeper. The match moved on to penalties, where 3 US players, including Megan Rapinoe, missed their spot kicks. Sweden's winning penalty by Lina Hurtig initially looked like it had been saved, but goal line technology confirmed that the ball had crossed the goal line. South Africa, meanwhile, has had its World Cup dreams ended, following a 2-0 defeat to the Netherlands in Sydney. Sweden will face Japan in the quarterfinals, while the Netherlands will face Spain. And finally, in a social media post on Sunday, Elon Musk said that a potential cage match between him and Meta owner Mark Zuckerberg will be streamed on his social media platform X, and that all of the match's proceeds would go to a charity for veterans. Zuckerberg responded by recommending that a different platform be used. The date of the proposed fight has not been set, but Zuckerberg has suggested August 26th. It's also been suggested that the mixed martial arts fight will be held in Las Vegas. Talk of the match began in June when Musk tweeted that he was up for a cage match with the Meta owner. Zuckerberg replied a day later, asking Musk to send a location of the proposed fight. Matthew Ashley, Arirang News.
Good afternoon. East of Gangwon-do province has been seeing downpours since last night. It could come down at a rate of up to 200 millimeters into tomorrow with a rain advisory issued. Other than rain-affected areas, the rest of the country is sizzling in the intense heat. Western parts of the country are having a hotter afternoon with daytime highs surpassing 35 degrees Celsius. Then there is a chance of passing rain in most regions, which won't help to relieve the heat, but will only add that steamy heat to the air. Meanwhile, Typhoon Khanun changed its course and is now heading towards the Korean peninsula. For now, the weather agency is forecasting that Khanun could strike the coastal region of Gyeongsang-namdo by Thursday afternoon. So from Wednesday, southern regions will start to have stormy weather. Then the typhoon could affect the whole country by mid to late this week, so please stay updated with the latest forecast and stay safe. That's Korea for you, and here's a look at the international weather conditions.
So much help is pouring into the Jamboree from around the country. With the event now expanding nationwide, the key really is how to accommodate tens of thousands of young scouts at this peak of summer vacation season. But 170 temple facilities nationwide will be open for scouts thanks to an offer by the Choge Order, the nation's biggest Buddhist sect. And on top of donations by companies and local governments, there are also multiple reports of individuals making their own trip to Saemangum to bring ice water. Integrity and helping each other is a major part of the Scout spirit. Well, there were some hiccups, but hopefully this year's Jamboree can be remembered as that spirit in action. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.